Hey, what's up there, everybody? It's Odin here. It's Sunday. It's the end of the weekend, and I certainly hope your weekend was awesome. And you're probably seeing this to start your week, and I hope that your forthcoming week is also awesome. Uh, my weekend was pretty good. It's funny though. I just have to mention this because it cracked me up. So on Facebook, you have memories, and it'll show you what you posted or what other people posted for you or on your wall or whatever throughout history, your history. And I can't remember how long ago. It was like 15 years ago, way back when. I posted a, a little word of wisdom, I guess. It said, "Life is like fighting a dinosaur. It's really hard." And yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know. Sometimes I can be funny, but life is like fighting a dinosaur. It's pretty hard, but also like fighting a dinosaur. It's kind of exciting. So there's that as well, or it can be. My weekend was neither hard nor exciting. I mean, I had some hard stuff. I had to work, do a lot of things that I don't want to do. I want to just draw all day long, all the time. It's just not possible. It's not possible. It's not, well, it's possible. It's not feasible. It's not optimal. But every little moment I get, I that's what I try to do. So a show on the page here, or showing a page here. This was Kill Them Dead page that I was actually shared last video, but I'm further along, basically done with it. I am done with it, but but when I showed it before, I wasn't. And I'm working on another shove page, but that one's not far enough along that you would even be able to see anything on camera. It's just light pencils, shapes, just sketching in the layout. So I figured I'd show this finished page. And I love doing this, and there's a really cool snowball of momentum that happens when you're creating something. Um, it's like you know where you need to get, and you can see the vision, and you have the vision. But once you start really getting into the mire of it, is really where the tedium is. It's what you've got to work with, but you're also seeing it come alive. So that tedium is enjoyable, and you've got to go through it because, like, really, what I'd want in some ways is just snap my finger and the book's done. But I also don't want that because I love the process. I love making it, and so I kind of like it to when I built a house. Um, Especially because, like, when you start a story or you start laying out a page, you don't always know where to start. You if you got like writer's block or creative block, and you're just like, where do I go? What do I do? Sometimes you just have to get something down, and that's what it was like when I built the house for my family back in the day. It was on a piece of land. It was in the woods, and I couldn't see the forest through the trees because it was just forest. I'm like, where do I want to put? I don't know where I want to put my house. I could put it over here. I could put it over there. I could clear these trees. I could clear those. And it was kind of a paralysis of analysis because there was just so much options. And my ex's dad, who's been a mentor in my life, he said, "You just gotta clear an area, and you'll be amazed what you start seeing." He's like, "If you just start something, you start seeing it, and then there's a snowball effect." And that's what happened. We cleared an area, leveled it, and then could see it, and I started staking out areas. I'm like, here's where the slab for the house is going to go. Here's where the driveway is going to be. Here's where a shed would be. And just kind of staking it out and then measuring it out and then uh, created the forms for the slab. And I'm like, that's the rectangle. That's the house. And so I know this is we're facing this direction, and this is, because there were certain considerations we wanted a south facing house for passive heat and solar and stuff. And so anyway, got the slab poured, and then it's like, that's it, that's the foundation, that's the perimeter, that's the parameter, that's where we can build. And it really starts getting excited once you get the framing up, because then you're like, I can see it three-dimensionally, it's there. And put the trusses on, and you're like, yes, it's a shape, it's a house. But there's so much more you still got to do, so it's like, but you build off that snowball of a momentum, like I was out there every day after work till the sun went down, building, pounding nails, you're doing things, downpour comes, and to cover up the saws and everything with tarps. And then go out there in the soggy next day in the mud and uncover them and go back to work. And every weekend just spent building. It was fun. And the more you did it, the more you could see it grow. And the more you saw it grow, the more excited you got, the more you wanted to dive in and give every bit of momentum and moment you had to that project. And creating these comic books is kind of the same thing. Like the further along I go, the more I'm like, I just want to get to the end, but I got to do this step and this step. I got to make these pages so that when it comes together, I'm proud of it, and it does come together. So yeah, you have the vision, and once you have the vision, sometimes you just got to get something going, and you can build on that snowball of momentum. And what happens is you get close to the finish line, and then there's this wane. I don't know why. I don't know if it's human instinct or maybe it's just me. But I know, like, have all this momentum, and then it crests. And then right near the end, there's kind of this, because you just feel you're so close. I don't know what it is. But that's really where you got to dig and make it happen. So that's why I was very proud of Volume 1, Unconditional Shove. It was like, saw it through to completion. Lots of things I would do differently. Lots of things I'm going to do differently. Constantly a learning experience. That's life. That's creative process. But if you don't dive in and just start and just do it and see it to completion, you may just be somebody who dreams all the time, and you gotta try. So we're right in the thick of it with Kill Them Dead, but I'm in this momentum phase where I'm like, here's a page, I want to draw the next page, but I also want to finish Shove, and I'm in so much momentum there, and I'm excited about that. So I want to go back to that and start that page, and then I want to finish this page, and just keep like going and going and going. I just want to do it all, but life is like fighting a dinosaur. It's kind of hard sometimes. So then you got to stop what you're doing and take care of business and do life shit. And so weekend was spent with a lot of that. I did get a moment to so I did a bunch of work Saturday morning, and then about midday I'm like, I got to go into town. I want to go to the comic shop, but I got to drop a package and do something. And I was like, oh, you know what? I should hit up my friend Rob Wilson again. We hung out a couple weekends ago. Rob is also a fellow comic creator, and he's working on his book, which is taking a long time. But the thing is, he's got his own life, and everybody's got things to do and priorities, and I understand that. So, but being that his own life is in the military, and he just happens to be, for the moment, stationed near me until like April, I think he said. So I'm like, yeah, we should definitely hang out a couple times before you have to move along. And so I was like, you know what? There's a cool comic shop in Springfield. Let's go check that out. We'll grab a beer and some food afterwards. It'll be fun. I hit him up. He's like, that sounds like a blast. I'm like, doesn't it though? It sounds like a great time. Go get your comics. Hang out at the comic shop for a while. Then go get some beer and some food. Yeah, it's great. So anyway, that's what we did. And met the local comic shop. I love this comic shop. The owner, she's awesome. And I shared it on all my social media, this Conan sketch cover that I did. Well, I bought that there. And when I bought it, she was like, hey, if you want, you could bring that cover back and I'll kind of display it. And, if anyone asks, I can tell them your story. And she keeps bugging me uh, for copies to sell at the store of like Bastards and Shove. And I keep telling her the reprints are coming. They will come. But I was like, yeah, that would be awesome if you want to do that. So anyway, I did that sketch cover, brought it into her, gave it to her as a gift from me to my comic shop that I've become endeared to. It's a great shop. I can tell the way she interacts with people and how she handles the comics, that she loves comic books and she loves comic book readers, and has a reverence for the art of comic books. So it's great. But so yeah, dropped that off, and Rob and I hung out at the shop, just talking comics, hanging out, buying shit. So I got a haul of some good stuff. Yeah, here. Whoa. So I got this guy. This is a special that came. It says at the top, not for sale, available only with this issue of Advanced Comics. So it's kitchen sink, but obviously, as you can see, it's Bernie Wrightson's Captain Stern, one of the coolest, funnest characters ever created. I know him mostly because of the Heavy Metal movie, but I was excited to get this. It's in pretty good shape, and I don't know about the sticker price. I paid that, but I don't know if that's what it's worth. I looked up online a little bit to try to get the history of it, and I'd seen it anywhere from $5 to $150. Like, it's definitely not $150, but still a pretty cool book. Most of what I got was Savage Sword. I also got this one, Conan Saga, which those are just what they are. I mean, they're fun and everything, but they're just collections, from what I read anyway. They're just collections of old Savage Sword stories with covers from old Savage Sword of Conan's. But this was one of my favorite Jusko covers, and I was like, it just looks cool. I gotta have it. I think I have the Savage Sword of Conan with this cover as well. And I'm pretty sure I have every Earl Norem. There might be a couple missing, but every Earl Norem cover. He's, I believe definitely. I'm pretty sure he's my favorite Conan cover artist for Savage Sword. His stuff was so awesome. Jusko is pretty close. So speaking of Jusko, I also got this one here, 138. Excellent cover. Well, the only thing I'll say about Jim Jusko is sometimes his faces are a little off, but the musculature is always on point. I love the lighting on this. The multi-lighting from the lightning is really well done. Fantastic cover. Jusko's amazing artist, of course. So that was a good one. I didn't have that one yet. And the one that was really important to get to the for series wise, this is number 10, and featuring this great Boris cover. But I still need to get like the first 3, but then I'll have the first 10. But yeah, excellent stuff. And this one's in really, really good shape too. So I was happy to get that. Got that. I got a couple of, let's see if I got them over here. I still need to put these in bags and boards. From my pull list, just the new Conans from the Titan series. So, but that's an excellent cover as well. I like that one. So yeah, got some stuff. I got this one. No, I already had that, but I brought it in to show the shop what the book is. at least unconditional shove. But look at that thick boy. Still very proud of it. But yeah, just wanted to show her. The reprints will have a different cover, but nonetheless. So yeah, it was a good time. Got some comics, hung out, had some beer, had some food, and then we went our separate ways. And yeah, and then today I just had a bunch of shit to do, and I just wanted to be drawing, but duty calls. It's fighting that dinosaur, but there's advantages and disadvantages to being single, but because it's like the mess that you got to clean up and the stuff you got to do is a lot more manageable because it's all you. You have the things and they're all under your control, but they still have to be done, and you can't divvy up the work. It's like it's all on your head. So there's good and bad in that. But so anyway, good weekend. Watched a few flicks since the last time I made a video, and could talk about that. Like I rewatch, so a lot of these are rewatches because that's typically what I do is watch movies I've seen before so that I don't get too invested while I'm drawing to where I can actually get drawing done. But this one I did have to pay attention a bit because it'd been a long time since I saw it. But I rewatched Videodrome from Cronenberg, and I forgot how crazy that fucking movie is. And it got me thinking about psychological horror movies throughout the ages and the ones I liked. Like shit, what was the one I was just thinking about? Well, like Jacob's Ladder, or the type of movies where the main character just like goes on this descent into madness, mouth of madness. That's one I was thinking of. And you just watch the main character lose sanity slowly in this horror-filled movie. And Videodrome is like that. Jacob's Ladder, Mouth of Madness. That was Sam Neill. And then one of my favorites. So Mouth of Madness was Wes Craven, but one of my absolute favorites is another Wes Craven one, which is Serpent and the Rainbow, starring Bill Pullman. And that one, it's like voodoo and stuff, but it's such a great movie. And again, just watching him like lose his marbles the whole movie. But I realized Bill Pullman's really good at that because I started thinking of other ones. I'm like, oh yeah, that was Bill Pullman. Oh wait, that was Bill Pullman. So Serpent and the Rainbow. David Lynch's Lost Highway. Bill Pullman with the guy who's like, because Bill Pullman will do these faces where he's like, you're fucking crazy, and the guy who's like, I'm at your house right now. He's like, that's fucking crazy. He's like, call me right now. It's like, that was pretty crazy. That scene particularly was like my favorite in the whole movie. But Lost Highway, I mean, that one delves into a lot of weird shit. But then another one that's not very well known, it's called Brain Dead. Now there's two Brain Dead movies, and it's typically not the one people think of, because that one, I don't think I've actually seen that one. But this one starred Bill Pullman, and it also had Bill Paxton, so it had the brothers Bill Pease. But Bill Pullman's the main character, and he's the one who loses his marbles as it goes along. But he's like a neurological scientist, studies the brain. But by the end, he's just totally insane. And it's not the best movie in the world, but I really do like it. I remember when I first rented it, I'm like, what the fuck? This is wild. It's a great movie. So, like I said, maybe not great, but good. But again, it was Bill Pullman. I'm like, I never really liked Bill Pullman that much, but to his credit, he does a really good job of a guy who's like losing his mind. and in psychological horror. Um, what else did I watch? I just rewatched Constantine, which I really like. I don't care. Like, I don't know where most people stand on it. I haven't heard a lot of the comic community say where they stand on it. Because I know it's based off Hellblazer, which I never read. But I want to. And even back then, I wanted to. I just never got around to it. But then they made the movie, and I'm like, oh, this looks cool. And I watched it, and I really, really liked it. And I just rewatched it. I think I may have watched it somewhere in between that first time and now, but maybe this is only the second time. But I rewatched it, and I freaking loved it. I thought it was great. And so I don't know, if it's how close it is to Hellblazer. I don't know any of that. All I know is I really enjoyed it. I loved the concept. I thought it was very well done. And if the book's anything like that, I'm sure it's a great book. I think it was Alan Moore and Bissett, which is a great combo. They work well together. Because I read the Swamp Thing stuff with them. Anyway, so I'll have to check the comic out. But I did like Constantine. I like it a lot. It's like spiritual horror or supernatural horror noir. And I thought what was funny is I thought Keanu Reeves as a wooden acting actually works really well for the character of John Constantine, at least in my mind. Which is funny thinking about that, calling it a noir film, because I know Aldous, he hates the term neo-noir, and I'm like, oh, well, if Keanu Reeves is in it, it's neo-noir. But anyway, I don't know where comic community stands. Maybe everyone hates it because it wasn't anything like the comic. I don't know. Or maybe everyone loves it because maybe it was true. I don't know. All I know is I really enjoyed it. I loved the concept. I loved the actual effects and the camera angles and the pacing of the movie. I loved all of it. So Constantine, I like it. I also watched recently a movie called Somewhere in Time. Somewhere in Time. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's basically a romance story, which is not my typical fare, not what I normally would want to watch. Actually, for the most part, I detest most romance stories. Unless they've got a really cool subtext and secondary story or backstory or whatever. And this one definitely has that. So Somewhere in Time is based off of a Richard Matheson short story or a novella, I think. I can't remember the name of his book. But the concept's great. And it stars Christopher Reeve, who was excellent. And he was always excellent. Really like Christopher Reeve. So if you haven't seen it, maybe fast forward the video 5 minutes or something, because I'm going to explain it conceptually because it's really cool. So stars Christopher Reeve as the main character, and then the love interest is played by young Jane Seymour. Most of us know her as Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, but and she was great as well, and their chemistry was great. Everything was good. But the best thing about it is the concept, right? So the movie starts off with Christopher Reeve. His character is a playwright, and after his first play production, him and his friends and the cast or whatever are celebrating in this hall. And while they're celebrating, there's this old lady just kind of making her way across the room. And the music kind of dies down as she approaches and kind of just makes her way right towards Christopher Reeve. And she's looking at him, and he's looking at her, and he's kind of dumbfounded by the situation. And she grabs his hand and places in his hand a stop or a pocket watch. And she says one thing. She says, "Return to me." And he's just like I said, dumbfounded. And then she just turns and walks away. And everybody's like, "What the heck was that?" And Christopher Reeve's like, "I don't know. I don't know what that was about." So anyway, then he goes on this research frenzy and trying to figure out who this lady was and everything, and finds out she was a play actress from the turn of the century, and then she passes away, and he's like, "But I've got to find her." He's like so spellbound by this situation and by this old lady, and then he sees her as a young woman, and she's just beautiful Jane Seymour, you know. And he remembers he had a professor who talked about time travel, who actually believed that he had traveled back in time at once. And he asks the professor about it, and he says, "Well, what I did was basically the power of suggestion. I removed everything that wasn't from the time period I wanted to go to, and I dressed in the garb of the time, and I just repeated in my head over and over and over that I live in this time period." And he's like, "And I traveled back." And so Christopher Reeve tries to do that, and he's trying to set that up, but he finds it's harder than he realizes, because one thing he tried to do was put it on a tape recorder and repeat it over and over and over. I am in this time period. But he didn't realize that the tape recorder was not correct for the time period. He's like, "Oh, duh, the tape recorder." So he tosses that out. But what's funny to me is the movie was set in 1979, which is about the time it was made, I think. And he's saying the date as he's repeating it. It's almost the day I was born. It's like 2 days off. So I was born in 1979, June, whatever the date was, but mine is 29th. But he kept saying, so set in 1979, but he kept saying, "It's June 26th, you know, 1910, you know, or whatever date." And so anyway, it ends up working, and he goes back in time, and he meets Jane Seymour. They fall in love, despite her protective manager who doesn't like Christopher Reeve, because he has like premonitions, and he knew this guy was going to show up and like ruin her career, which is what happens. But so anyway, they have their love affair, and after a night of lovemaking, and they're just sitting around vegging and eating food and laughing and getting to know each other, you know, that really fun early love kind of stuff. She's making fun of his clothes, and it's kind of a running joke in the movie is that his clothes that he wore to like transcend to that time were actually about 10 years outdated. So when he's there, everybody's kind of making fun of him for wearing the style that's 10 years ago. And she's giving him a hard time about his clothes. You know, they're just playful banter. And he's like, "What's wrong with my clothes? I love my clothes." And he's like, "See, I've got this pocket for my change." And he pulls out a penny, and he looks at it, and the penny says 1977. And he's instantly shuffled back to the present day. And it's just when that's happening, you see Jane Seymour like, "No." And it's pretty powerful. And then he kind of, again, he kind of loses his mind because he fell madly in love with her. And then just by looking at that one coin has gone back. So it's a great, I haven't read the story, but I imagine, you know, Richard Matheson did a lot of Twilight Zone episodes, and it kind of has that feel, a little more stretched out and thickened up. But yeah, it's a great movie. So highly recommend Somewhere in Time if you haven't seen it. hopefully you didn't hear all that and then it's all spoiled. But um, yeah, it's a great movie. Christopher Reeve is awesome and conceptually awesome. So yeah, and then other than that, I don't know. Watch a lot of Avs games and Nuggets games, and they're both right in the thick of you know, playoff contention and seeding, and they're both doing good. And we'll see how it shakes out. Both fairly recently champions, which is great. Unlike my Broncos, who suck balls, and unlike the Rockies, who really suck balls. But baseball started up, but it's just preseason stuff. But yeah, sports are a nice thing to draw to because I don't have to pay attention too much. Anyway, that's about all I got. Um, like I said, life can be like a dinosaur. It's hard fighting a dinosaur. But I always end these with a motivational, pretentious uh, word of wisdom or something. If nothing else, I typically say, act with integrity, care for those you love, and be pure awesome. And I was thinking about that pure awesome phrase that I use a lot. I like the phrase pure awesome. But I think when I'm speaking of character and I'm like, yeah, just be pure awesome. We should all strive to be pure awesome. I think of the story of Daniel from the Bible. He So the story is that he was a man of great character and conviction and devout. Um, and most everyone liked him a lot. So his nation was invaded by another invading nation, and they took over and implemented their own government and rules and whatnot. And Daniel ascended the ranks very quickly within this new invasion, with this new government. And as he did, a lot of people liked him. The king liked him very much. That's why he was able to, get high ranking. And a lot of people liked him. They appreciated things about him. But there was a group of people who hated him. And they hated, it's kind of like when somebody's awesome and pure awesome. It shines the spotlight on their inadequacies or their deviance or their unscrupulous nature. So they plotted and schemed against him, and they tricked the king into signing an edict that anyone who prayed to their god during certain times would be thrown into a pit of lions. Well, it wouldn't deter Daniel because he was devout. So he went about doing it, but the king had to enforce the rule that he just signed into law, and he was kind of tricked into passing this. And he felt horrible because he loved Daniel, but they threw Daniel in this pit of lions, hungry lions, as a matter of fact. And miraculously, by divine intervention, God shuts the mouths of these lions, and Daniel was unharmed. Now, I wondered to myself, what would provoke God to do such a miraculous thing and intervene in such a powerful way on Daniel's behalf? What was it about Daniel? And if you go back in the story, early in it, you read these wonderful adjectives and phrases that describe Daniel as a man of character and his devout nature and his integrity. But it uses this one phrase, and it depends on the translation you have. Most say he had an excellent spirit. My Jerusalem Bible says he had a marvelous spirit. So he had this marvelous spirit. And that was something that was recognizable from everybody. And with that marvelous spirit came his devout loyalty to God and to his work. He did everything with the best intentions and always giving his best. Because there is a phrase in the Bible that says, everything you do, do as unto the Lord, which is basically like the old phrase, a job worth doing is worth doing well. And it's, something I try to impart to my kids. It's a lesson that everyone should be trying to put into practice, which is, if you're going to do something, why not do it marvelously, excellently, pure awesomely? So, and that was the nature of Daniel. He was pure awesome. He had a marvelous, excellent spirit. And so when I do these little motivational whatever, that's what it comes down to, is like, it's something that everyone can recognize. And yeah, it might bring you some haters. It might put you in a bad spot. We can't say that God's going to intervene on your behalf if you get thrown in the den of lions. Maybe you get chewed up and spat out or shat out. But you die with your name unsullied. You die with integrity. And, if you're not dying and you're just laying your head on your pillow, you sleep better at night. So they're noble goals. And nobody ever fully attains these things. But it's a noble goal. You're never going to be pure awesome all the time. You're going to fall. You're going to fail. You're going to stumble at times. But if you're constantly striving, because the striving is what's important, that's the thing that is where you want to be. Because I've talked about it before. I hate when people say I'm doing the best I can, because nobody's doing the best they can. Now, you can keep it at the forefront of your mind to try and be the best you can, and you can work pretty hard at it, but it's not ever a true phrase. So I hate when people say it. It's usually a cop-out. It's usually them wanting some grace. But I'm like, well, you don't have to lie about it. And I know it's a phrase that it's hard to think of another way to put it, that that is honest without sounding like an idiot. So people say, I'm doing the best I can. Like right now, I'm doing the best I can to explain this. Which I'm not. If I was doing the best I could, it would have it would have sounded much better. But anyway, the whole point is the striving and the ethic of wanting and putting in the time. And yeah, so everything you do, take pride in your work and all that good stuff. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Because now I'm stammering a little bit. But I think they're valuable things. That's why I throw them out there. And in the same sense, I want to be doing the best I can as well. Keeping that at the front of my mind to try to be pure awesome, to try to act with integrity. But the more you have that at the front of the mind, the more you do that and build on it, it becomes who you are. And people recognize it and they go, this person has that excellent, marvelous spirit. They are pure awesome. And yeah, things tend to work out better for you if you do that. So strive for that. I hope wherever you're at in life, whatever obstacles you're facing, that you are facing them with strength and courage, conviction, power, honor, great care for those you love. And yeah, let's all strive to be pure awesome. And with that, I will leave you. And until next time, it's Odin here. We'll see you later.